Hi guys, welcome back to Miscellaneous Pleasures. I'm finally back with Dark, Season 2, Episode 2. Uh, yeah, I'm actually, I have to apologize for delaying this, but I was on a vacation and I couldn't really record videos in my vacation, so I didn't. But yeah, here I am finally back with the show, and I do remember most of the things, so it's not like I've forgotten stuff. And I've obviously written down, so that also helps. Uh, so yeah, in the first episode, what happened? Uh, the first thing that I've written down is Noah killed some guy, and yeah, he did, didn't he? I think it was in 1921, 33 years before. So yeah, 1921, where younger Noah killed somebody, and then the guy who got killed like didn't even flinch. So that was very interesting and peculiar, like weird. Um, there was also a talk of something called as the last cycle, uh, and the last cycle was about to begin. Well, in the show, it is about to begin on 27 June 2020. There was a person called Adam. He looked weird. His face was scarred, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Uh, and then there was also going to be an apocalypse on 27th of June. And then this thing, the nuclear power plant is also closing on the same date. Uh, and the first episode, I think most of the things happened on 21st June, 1920, sorry, 2020. And of course, we saw younger Eunice in 2053, where he saw the big light ball. Why have I called it a big light ball? I should have probably called it a big black ball. But then, yeah, I guess this also works out. Um, Charlotte or Charlotte, her grandfather is Thanos. That was also something that was revealed, and it was extremely shocking for me because I mean, we literally saw the guy for a whole season, not even realizing that he was Charlotte's grandfather. At least that's what I think. I mean, I don't think it was ever mentioned in the show. If it was, I obviously missed it. So yeah, I'm actually planning to record two videos today, so I have to slightly rush a bit. But then yeah, I have done most of the things. The recap. I can't think of anything else that happened. Um, Talking of younger Eunice in 2053, there was also Elizabeth, who was grown up, who was a sort of commanding set of people. She obviously, I think, killed two or three people by hanging them for, I think, sneaking into like the place where Eunice eventually went to see the big light ball. So yeah, there's obviously talk of God particle also. I I mean that was I think something I've written down, but then not really sure in which context they're going to use it. Like what exactly is going to be the God particle? Like is it the big light ball? Like what exactly is going on there? So yeah, very interesting stuff. Uh, so yeah, that's all for this recap, guys. Let's begin the actual reaction. Here we go. Oh, it's stable. What? So is he going to go back in time? Okay, I think that's lack of power, fuel. I'm not really sure what's going on there. Wow, the episode's name is Dark Matter. I mean, what? Now it's Mikkel who is waking up like this. Are you kidding me? The whole bloody family has this thing. Oh, the dog. I forgot the dog.
Hast du die bloß aufgetrieben?
This is the. I forgot. the name.
Sieht ja aus wie
Gretchen, yeah, Gretchen.
Quatsch.
I mean,
Regina,
she
wo
is
bleibst du denn?
Gretchen, but then not for these people.
Ich wollte eigentlich mit dir reden. Es gibt da was ich dir sagen muss.
Hallo, Opa. Können wir?
Regina, wow, that's
Du
a
musst nicht Tschüss sagen, kein
that's a
Problem.
transformation.
Du wolltest mir was sagen?
Yeah, we had the photo. We had the photo. I just remembered. See, this is definitely Agnes here. Come on. So Agnes is Noah is Agnes's husband. And thus the world was created. Yeah, even I googled that.
Finden Sie es nicht außergewöhnlich,
What's unusual about it?
dass Alexander Tiedemann den Nachnamen seiner Frau angenommen hat?
Wait,
Nein.
wait, he did, didn't he? What? Yeah. That actually never occurred to me. I mean, I guess it's weird for the time period. Like, they must have been married. What? Uh, they must have been married in the mid 90s, right? But then, I mean, does it really? I don't know. That is weird though. I never really realized that.
Letztes Jahr. Ich weiß, woher du das Geld hast. Blasen 40 Euro?
Oh, yeah.
85 Spielchen
Oh,
kostet
this guy was spying on her, wasn't he? I completely forgot
nichts.
that.
Verschissenen Kaffers
And he
für
went to
Blasen.
that van.
Nichts hat sich geändert. Alle lügen. Alle betrügen.
I don't think that's what she was doing.
Ich bin dir nachgegangen. Ich weiß, von wem du dein Geld kriegst.
You idiot. What's his
Erster
name?
Gedanke ist, dass ich mich
Magnus.
prostituiere.
Ja, was denn sonst?
Ich verkaufe nicht meine Titten oder mein Arsch. Ich
I
verkaufe Rezepte für
knew
eine
this.
scheiß Hormontherapie, du Idiot.
Hormone therapy
Mein
prescriptions.
Vater hat die früher
Okay.
als Bezahlung für seine Besuche benutzt. Jetzt geht er nicht mehr hin und ich bin die neue Bezugsquelle.
Way to get it wrong, my brother.
Ich helfe ihr, sie hilft mir. So einfach ist das.
Sie sagt, er gehört ihr.
Oh, it's Claudia. What? I mean, it's obviously Claudia, but then I didn't realize that it was going to be the older Claudia.
Es ist ihr und es tut mir so leid. Sie ist mir zugelaufen.
I just realized something. Most of the songs in this show have been in English, haven't they? Like, this is weird, but I actually never realized this. Or maybe I did, I never really expressed it, I don't think. But this show is German, original. But for some reason, they have chosen, like, I mean, I remember every episode in the first season, like, the last song that used to happen, like in about 10 minutes into the ending of the show, that song always used to be in English. Like, for some reason, they have chosen all the songs to be in English. Like, I have no idea why that is. Like, is there any logic behind it? Like, is it something that usually happens in German TV shows? Like, what's the deal? Oh, he's stealing fuel. That's clever. That's extremely clever. Like, he literally played a song that could be heard throughout the town, literally, and using it as a distraction. That's actually brilliant.
Dunkle Sachen.
He has,
Generation zu Generation.
by some sort of miracle,
Vielleicht.
grown extremely pretty from season 1 to season 2. Like, I don't know what it is. I mean, it's obviously the hair, she has done it differently, but then that can't possibly be the only thing.
Du hast keine Ahnung. Sie ist nie da. Und wenn sie da ist, dann nur um an mir rumzumosern.
And this guy,
Sie hat noch nie "Ich liebe dich" zu
this guy looked exactly like Alexander. Like, this is ridiculous.
Ich liebe
The
dich.
casting is ridiculous in the show. And when I say ridiculous, I mean ridiculously good.
Letztes Jahr kam ein Fremder ins Hotel.
Oh shit, I just remember it was Jonas. He lived at her hotel and she found stuff, didn't she, in the end of the last season? Like
Er sah aus wie ein
the things that he had on the wall and the diagrams and stuff like that. That's obviously Jonas.
wollte das Zimmer aber behalten.
Okay. I mean, I don't know if this is a good idea to have Psycho Hannah. I mean, let's not forget this is Psycho Hannah that we're talking about. Like,
Hab keine Angst.
yeah, I don't know if getting her to time travel is that good an idea from the general perspective, but then from his perspective, that's obviously the best idea because he doesn't want to keep secrets anymore.
Komm gern hierher. Ein besonderer Ort. Also. Warum bist du nicht in der Schule?
Aber niemand kann das ändern. Niemand. Nicht einmal der weiße Teufel.
Like Devil.
Weiße Teufel. Das hast du schon mal gesagt. Damals.
He did?
Stimmt.
I don't recollect anything about a white devil.
Geschehen muss. Das Leben ist am Ende nur eine Ansammlung von verpassten Chancen.
Life is just a collection of missed opportunities.
Du hast nicht mehr viel Zeit mit Regina. Aber wenn alles gelingt,
It works
dann wird sie leben.
okay. So she won't get cancer? Pause. I mean, I don't want to actually pause in this place, but then I felt like I should because it seems like this episode is gaining momentum and anything could happen next. So I wouldn't really get any time to register stuff. So obviously it's kind of a Claudia versus Adam sort of thing, and obviously reflect upon this later. But something that she said right now was interesting. If everything goes to plan, then Regina will live. Like, will she not get cancer then? Like, is this what she's talking about? Like, she obviously knows that Regina has cancer. This Claudia, the older Claudia. So, yeah, like, or is she talking about like reverting? Like, I don't even know how they can revert this thing. Like, how can she make Regina not get cancer? Like, how is that a thing? I don't know.
War ein Mann in Reginas Hotel.
Er hatte Zeichnungen dabei.
Okay, so she's telling him about the drawings.
Die sind aus dem Buch. Das Buch, das mein Großvater geschrieben hat.
They're from the book. Okay.
Alle haben immer gesagt, er ist ein Spinner.
Wo bist du gerade?
Aber er wusste, dass das alles wahr ist. Warum hatte er dieses Foto?
Yeah, to be fair, like from her perspective, her grandfather knew a lot more things and he obviously
Warum hat er mir nie
told
gesagt,
to her
wer meine Eltern wirklich sind?
who my parents really were. Wait, what? What? So, she doesn't know who her parents were? Like, how is that a thing? Wait a minute. I need to write this down. But then it makes no sense. Haven't we seen Charlotte's parents till now? Oh, we haven't. We haven't actually seen her parents, have we? I mean, we have seen literally nothing about her till now. apart from obviously the revelation that Thanos is her grandfather. Okay. I mean, this episode is getting interesting by the minute, literally.
Warum lügst du sie an? Warum sagst du nicht, dass wirklich eine
Eunice can't die here. Oh shit. That hurts. But Eunice can't die here, like, he can't.
Alle werden sterben.
That's not
In
allowed.
5 Tagen, in meiner Zeit.
Unless, of course, time can be rewritten. Then he can obviously die.
Es gilt keine Prophezeiung. Die Passage wird sich niemals öffnen. Euer Paradies, das gibt es nicht. Aber hinter der Mauer.
He cannot die, like, he can't. Eunice cannot die. There is no way Eunice is dying. Who is saving him? Like, he has to save him, right? The chick who was standing beside him. Okay. Okay. So Elizabeth saves him after killing him. I mean, trying to kill him. Oof, that neck. I don't know.
Hallo?
There's something weird about her. I don't know what it is. Like, when I say about her, I don't mean Elizabeth. I mean the lady who is standing beside Eunice. Like, who just gave a look of, I don't know, she gave a look of worry, sort of. Like, twice in that scene when Elizabeth was talking about, you know the rules, do you think don't apply to you, stuff like that. So, yeah, it's interesting. I don't know who she is. Like, she's supposed to be somebody from here. Like, that was one of the things I talked about, didn't I? Like, I mean, if she looks about, I don't know how old she looks, but then she could be somebody from right now, like a kid from now, possibly. But we don't know any kids like that, so I don't know.
Egon hier. Okay, genau der Fall. Was ist immer noch hier?
What?
Wo?
Ulrich still. Wait, this is 86, right? So Ulrich is still. Like, he has been living for 33 years? What the hell? Oh, Ulrich.
Vielleicht erinnern Sie
What
sich
have
an
you
mich.
done, Ulrich?
Mein Name ist Egon Tiedemann. Ich habe Sie vor 34 Jahren verhaftet.
Dude, if. Wait, is that the same guy? Or is he a different guy who looks like the same guy? He will obviously remember the name Egon Tiedemann.
Wie könnte ich dich jemals vergessen? My only aim is to take many lives.
The more, the better I feel. Wait, he's doing this again?
Ich kenne das.
That's the song
Ich habe mal
lyrics.
gesagt.
And he said that when he was about to be photographed in 53.
Bedeutet, dass du Trottel immer noch nichts verstanden hast. Aber jetzt musst du dich beeilen. Du hast nicht mehr viel Zeit. Ich weiß, wann du stirbst.
Wow.
Stand in der Zeitung.
It was in the paper. Wow.
Ich verstehe nicht.
Ja, natürlich tust du das nicht. Aber vielleicht ist es auch dein Schicksal, ahnungslos zu sterben, so wie du geboren wurdest.
Damn. Like, honestly, Ulrich roasting. Absolutely roasting Egon Tiedemann right now. And he did talk about this before, didn't he? Like, he was, I think it was as a kid. No, not as a kid, but I think it was in the last season, before he was, or just after he was photographed in 53, he was talking about how Egon's wife would leave him and how he was going to drink and stuff like that. So she's obviously still doing the same, but I can't believe the Ulrich is still stuck. Which means whatever time travel happens is not going to sort of affect his fate. Like he's going to stay from 53 till 86. He's going to stay in that world. That is in a world with time travel. That is really sad. So yeah. Oh, there's going to be a song. Okay. I mean, it has been a pretty good episode, to be fair, with so many things that have happened. I mean, that has literally been the trend in this season so far. Oh my God, Jonas! He literally got Hannah to see Mikkel like this. I mean, everybody is in this sort of a, well, in this sort of a sort of, oh, dude. I mean, I never really thought about this, but then Hannah did marry Nikhil, right? Like, at some point of time, they had a good relationship, like, worthy of getting married. And I mean, this song, I mean, it has been a good song, but then the things that have happened in the song have been pretty sort of hard hitting. I mean, we have had this weird chick from 2053 helping Jonas for some reason. We have Hannah seeing Mikkel. We have Charlotte sort of wondering about her life history, if you may put it that way. We have. Wait, is this the end of the song? Yeah, it is. Uh, we had Egon sort of thinking about his arrest of Ulrich, and he's wondering like what could be happening with Mads. I think he's also expecting some sort of a bad news health wise. Like he was talking to this hospital like earlier where like they were talking about some you have to come to the hospital. Like I don't know what exactly is happening with him, but I have a feeling that he's probably going to have some sort of a like terminal disease, like a cancer or something like that. And then we obviously saw Ulrich, who was just standing outside brooding, I guess. But then he has been stuck in this place for 33, 34 years. That is ridiculous. So, yeah, that was a very chilling sort of song and set of scenes. I'll probably not show any of it, or probably I'll show just the bits that I was talking through. But I also blur the videos. But then I felt like if I could, I would definitely show it, but then it has songs, so I have to mute it, and then there is no point in showing the videos. So yeah. But yeah, we are nearing the end of the episode. I wonder what else is going to happen. Wait, is this what I am thinking happening? It is, isn't it? The older Claudia is burying the time machine in a different time, at a different time, and the younger Claudia is taking it in the future from that perspective. The same time machine. This is literally the time hack that the Flash has, and even the Arrows has. I mean. Wow. That, I mean, that is sort of weird, isn't it? The way it's sort of interacting with, okay, the way it's sort of interacting with the person who is stepping into it. Like, I mean, Jonas is trying to travel back, but then I don't know where he's going to end up in. Is that the end of the episode? Yeah, that is the end of the episode. Okay. That was a very good episode. That was a proper good episode. I mean, I have written down so many bloody points here, like it's just a joke. I was planning on doing the third episode's reaction. I don't think I'll be able to though. So yeah, that's a shame. But I will do it tomorrow. That's not a big deal. So yeah, that was a very good episode. I'll try to, as usual, go through it in sort of a chronological way, and I also actually have a sort of a point to make and a question to ask, something to ponder over. But I will do that at the end of the sort of recap of the episode or whatever I want to title it. Uh, I mean, the first thing that I've written down is nothing really to talk about. What I've written down is Katharina's birthday, 22nd June. I mean, Mikkel, at some point of time in the episode, I remember, obviously somewhere in the beginning, he mentions that the day that they were talking about, today was her or his mother's birthday. I don't know why I wrote them down, but I just wrote it down. Claudia meets Claudia. I mean, that was an interesting piece of conversation that happened over 3 or 4 different scenes. Like, I don't know. The first episode had Noah meeting Noah, didn't it? And this episode has had Claudia meeting Claudia. Essentially, the two sort of prominent time traveling pairs that we have in the show, apart from Jonas, Jonas and the Stranger, if you want to term it. But then we have already seen Jonas meeting with Stranger a couple of times, but then we had never really seen this. So that was interesting. And then the Claudia meeting Claudia thing extended to obviously the Flash time hack, as I want to call it. Basically, somebody planting something in the past for a future or a past self to collect it from the future. So she obviously buried the time traveling machine or the time machine in, well, it looked like she did it in 1953 because the power plant was yet to be made. Like that poster or whatever it is called as was not the poster, but the billboard sort of thing was hanging. And then obviously Claudia, the younger or the middle-aged Claudia, collected it from possibly 86 or 87. So there was that. That was the end result of the whole conversation and things like that. And she now has sort of definitive proof of time travel. I mean, she knew about time travel before, didn't she? Or I don't think she did, but then, I mean, she had obviously come across it. I don't think she had concrete proof of it like now she does. The next thing I've written down, I mean, not really something to, I don't know. I just wrote it down. I don't even think it probably has a meaning to it, but Jonas, well, I shouldn't say him Jonas. The Stranger took Hannah to the cave to time travel. Like there was this big ball that formed, sort of like the black color ball that formed in the end of first season around them, and then it engulfed them, and then they obviously time traveled to 86 or 87 to meet Mikkel. But why did they do that from the cave? Like, why couldn't they do that from their house? Like, is that some sort of a thing? Like, he mentioned that this device travels 33 years into the past and the future only. So, like, does it also have to be done from the cave? Like, is that something? So that's the question I had at that time. Actually, I even have it now. I mean, the next thing I've written down is again another insignificant thing. Noah said, while he was talking to Mikkel, he said that the cave is a sort of special place. Like, was he talking about it because he sort of killed 3 kids there? Doesn't matter at what time period he did it, but then he killed them in the bunker, didn't he? Like, that is near the caves. So is that why it's a special place? Like, I mean, that was kind of interesting. The whole conversation was interesting, to be fair, that Noah and Mikkel had. Like, they obviously had this conversation about God and how things were formed, evolution and stuff like that in the season 1 episode. I think it was 4 or 5. But this episode, like, Mikkel was sort of questioning things again, and this time he was questioning about God and whether he has plans, what if he's wrong, and stuff like that. And Noah, unlike he actually thinks, he was sort of supporting the statements. He was saying, you know what, God can't be wrong and stuff like that. Though we have seen him sort of contradict those opinions while he was talking to Helga. So that was interesting, or at least I thought it was interesting. We then had Egon talking to Helga, like, I mean, he was sort of, throughout the episode, he was trying to investigate the whole Mads and the missing children sort of case. I don't know where it's going to lead him to, but because he doesn't know time travel. But then, yeah, that was interesting. I mean, it all started with him talking to Helga. Like, I mean, it all started actually with him talking to Claudia, and this is something that just struck me. Like, I was sort of speculating towards the end of the episode about about Egon's sort of health condition. Like, does he have some sort of a disease or something? And I just remembered that in the scene that blew me away in this episode, which was actually the first appearance of Regina in this season, prior to that, Egon actually wanted to talk to Claudia about something. He probably wanted to talk about this. I just realized that. So that is where actually everything started for Egon in this episode. Like, he wanted to talk to Claudia about his health condition. And then he went on a journey talking to Helga first, who did not really talk about much apart from something called as the White Devil. I have no idea what that is. And then he went on to talk to somebody who told him that this guy that you arrested is still in sort of this containment facility. And he went there, talked to Ulrich, who absolutely roasted him alive with the 4 or 5 sentences that he spoke about. And yeah, I mean, that was sort of the journey that Egon had, and I kind of feel sad for him in a way. Like, imagine being the person who is surrounded by people who time travel, is surrounded by things that happen due to time travel, but then he himself has no idea about his existence. Especially being the person who sort of a detective, police sort of thing. So, like, they are the people who are supposed to be good at finding stuff out, and he knows nothing about it. So yeah, that is kind of sad. And he seems to be a good guy. So apart from his treatment of Ulrich, I mean, even that could be attributed to a couple of things. So I don't feel for Egon. So the White Devil, I'm not really sure about the White Devil, like what it is. I mean, it's obviously a white devil, but then why sort of mention it? Like, he was talking to Helga and he mentioned something about child Helga telling them about a white devil, but then I don't remember anything of the sorts. Like, that must have happened behind the scenes, probably. I mean, the next point I've written down is Claudia versus Adam. Yeah, that's not happened. Sorry about that. The next thing I've written down is Claudia versus Adam. Like, it seems to me that, I mean, this is something that is going to connect into what I was going to talk about at the end of the whole discussion, was the fact that what exactly is going on in the show. Like, there seems to be definitely 2 sides to the story. There seems to be one side which happens to have Claudia and I think Jonas, by how Noah sort of phrased it at the end of the first season. And there seems to be a second side which has Noah, obviously, and Adam. So And Adam seems to be the leader of that side, and it's kind of obvious that it can't be Jonas. It seems to be Claudia who is the leader of this side. So it seems to be a Claudia versus Adam sort of thing. But then what exactly are they fighting over? Like supremacy or over time travel? Like, is it that sort of? I mean, it doesn't seem to be that way. Like the things that Noah has been doing, killing people and stuff like that, like, and the whole sort of the next cycle is going to begin. Like Claudia also was talking about the next cycle and how like things have to happen the same way so that Regina could live and stuff like that. Like it seems like both of them are waiting for this next cycle, but then they both are on different sides. So are they expecting different results out of the same side of this next cycle? That's something that doesn't really, I can't really understand it. Like I don't really understand what's the fight, or what's the sort of, what are they battling over? Like that's the question that I have. And I mean, till now I have really no idea about it. Like there doesn't seem to be a definite thing, right? I can't really place it because, I mean, of the very fact that we don't know who Adam is, first of all. Like he's literally a person who looks to be about 70, 75 years old, and he's 70, 75 years old in the year 1920. So he must have been born like in the 1850s or something. And Claudia is a person, I mean, even though you could say that Adam could be a time traveler, he's obviously a time traveler. So he probably doesn't need to be born in the 1850s. He probably could be even born in the 20th or the 21st century. But I mean, forget that. But and then Claudia seems to be this person who's obviously born in the 1940s and 1950s. So, like, where did they really become enemies? Like, what's their deal? And yeah, so these are questions that I do have. Talking of this episode in particular, the next thing I've written down is Charlotte's parents. I mean, this is something that I never really thought about, and I think I should think about this now. Do we know everybody's family tree by this point of time? Like, we know Jonas, we know Hannah. I mean, we don't know Hannah's mother, but then we know that her father is the guy who drove that vehicle. I think he works somewhere, like I don't really remember where he works, but then we have seen him at least in the TV show. We know Ulrich, we know Katharina. Well, we don't know Katharina, but then we have some sort of an idea as to what sort of parents she has. We know Regina. Do we know Regina? We know Regina's mother is Claudia, but then we don't know her father. We don't know her father. We know Peter. We know Peter is Helga's son, but then we don't know who his mother is. So it seems like we know a lot of people's at least one parent, if not both, in some occasions. But then Charlotte seems to be that person who we have no idea about, and I really had no idea that we had no idea about it. So, I mean, I don't know. Is this going to be some sort of a mystery? Because if it's going to be a mystery of family tree, then I don't know. Right? I don't think there has been any clue as to who her parents could be. Like, it could literally be anybody. I mean, if she's going to be a time child, when I say a time child, I mean a person born out of time travel, or, like a person in the 21st century having a kid with a person in the 20th century, like that sort of a thing. Then they could be literally anybody. Jonas hanged or hung, but saved is the next thing I've written down. I mean, this point and the next couple of points that I've written down, Jonas travels back and weird chick in 2053 saves Jonas. And I wrote something else too. Yeah, these three things. So these all things obviously connect with each other, with the fact that I mean, Jonas's journey throughout this episode has been about stabilizing that big ball of light, the God particle. Uh, and then he obviously stole fuel and then got caught and then got shot by Elizabeth and then got saved by Elizabeth. Like, I don't know why she did that. Like, I mean, does she even know? Like, does she even remember that this is Jonas? Like, is that why she saved him? Like, that's something that I not really understood. That sequence of events, like, she obviously doesn't have a problem with killing people, obviously. Like, she has obviously done that multiple times. So, why save Jonas? Like, she probably, the only reason I can think of is that Jonas is somebody that she knows, at least from her childhood. So maybe that's the reason. But then the interesting thing is that I sort of noticed that this weird chick that is there in 2053 with Elizabeth, who is also standing, sort of translating for her in that period of time, like she seems to have some sort of an, I mean, I don't want to call it attachment, but then she seems to have some sort of thing for Jonas. Like, is it just the fact that he knows about the big ball of light and then she didn't? Like, is that all it is? Is it just curiosity as to why Elizabeth saved him? Like, is that all? Or is she also somebody that perhaps has idea of time travel and then knows that this is somebody, like, I mean, the very idea that this weird chick could be somebody from 2020, so she would probably know Jonas, but then she obviously asked the question to him, who are you? Like, who are you and why did she save you? Like, that sort of thing. So she doesn't obviously know who Jonas is. So that sort of dynamic was weird for me. And then she obviously saved him, right? Like, she uncaged him, and then that was possibly because she wanted Jonas to tell her about the big ball of light. And then she saw him travel to somewhere. So this whole sequence of events, I almost felt like Jonas is somebody that is probably familiar to her through some sort of reason. And yeah, I don't know. I could probably be wrong. I mean, she doesn't really strike me as a person who's in her mid 30s. She looks sort of young for that. She looks sort of mid 20s, not younger. So she couldn't possibly be born in 2020, could she? So maybe I'm wrong about all of this, and it's just curiosity or something. But then the fact is, Jonas obviously has time travel. It's just a question of where or when. The obvious answer would be 2020, but because of the whole 33-year cycle. But is it possible that, I mean, at some point of time, somebody has to time travel properly and not just in a 33-year cycle? Like, unless, of course, that's the rules of the show. I mean, I don't know. It feels weird to have a time travel show and just sort of, how to say this, restrict yourself to just 33 years, plus or minus. I don't know. I mean, Jonas could, if that big ball of light is capable of breaking this sort of a cycle, then he could literally go anywhere, and that would obviously spice things up. Maybe even the future, who knows? What else? I mean, I did want to talk about this briefly, but then the whole sequence of events that happened in that song was brilliant in my opinion. Like, the whole Hannah meeting a scene, Mikkel scene, and the song in itself, like both in sort of a, both happening at the same time, like that sort of gave me a whole feel for the scene. Like, that was pretty good. Like, it's not something that the show has sort of focused on in the first 12, 12 episodes, right? The first 12 episodes of the show, it's like Hannah's sort of feelings towards Mikkel. Like, I mean, she obviously started cheating. Well, I don't want to call it cheating, but then she started sleeping with Ulrich pretty soon after his death. But then there was obviously some point of time where they actually liked each other and got married and stuff like that. So that was a very good scene where she saw Mikkel and sort of realized that she has time traveled and that she was seeing her husband who was still alive in that period of time. So yeah, that was a pretty good scene. And I think the last thing I have to talk about is obviously Ulrich. The sad story called Ulrich Nielsen, the guy who time traveled back to save his brother and his son. From his point of view, he was saving them both by killing Helga, but then made this inexplicable, unexplainable decision of staying in 53 after trying to kill Helga. Like, he did not even do the job properly. He got stuck there. He got arrested. He got beat up. He got photographed, and basically, photograph is not really that big of a deal. Then he obviously got stuck there in 1953, and it's still there in that sort of. He has never really time traveled, has he? Like, he was in 53 and then he stayed 34 years and he's now in 1987 as an old guy. That is sad. That is sad. Like, I mean, his motives were selfish, yes, but then who wouldn't be selfish in his position? So, but then his discussion with Egon was one of the highlights of this episode for me. Like, he obviously started the conversation with that lyric. My only aim is to kill many lives or take many lives. The more the better I feel, or something like that. And then he went on to call Egon a clueless fool. He went on to say that he's going to die, and he saw that in a newspaper. And he had a couple more sarcastic remarks and replies to the whole situation. And I mean, I don't know. I feel bad for Ulrich, to be fair. So yeah, I mean, this was an excellent episode. It wasn't as, I mean, it was as eventful as any in this TV series, to be fair. But then I don't think it was as sort of earth-shattering, sort of brilliant. It was more sort of moving the story along in a very brisk pace, and then it obviously sort of has like 7 or 8 parallel stories happening at the same time, and in every one of them we saw critical things happen, which is not something it's not something that is noticeable in other shows. In the second episode of a season, like, that's not something that happens. So kudos to the whole sort of people around the show, really. So yeah, excellent episode. That's all, guys. I mean, I don't really have anything else to talk about. I will probably make the next episode tomorrow. So, and I'll probably release this on Friday, possibly. So yeah, that's all for this reaction. Thank you so much for watching. Please do share your thoughts on this episode and on the show in general, or on any of the questions that I raised in the discussion. Please don't spoil this TV show for me. But then do share your thoughts, spoiler free, as much as possible. And yeah, that's all for this reaction. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.